per barrel of oil. However, I think in terms of state regulation, oil's taxed a little bit too little in California. And when you compare it to Texas, for example, they use an oil severance tax to fund all public schools, or all public colleges, sorry. And I think that's a great thing we should be doing here in California.
Thank you, Jason. And our last speaker is Carol Churchill.
Yes, there are some people that really don't want to hear what I have to say, but thank you for that. My benefit is that I've worked with Signal Hill Petroleum back when I was on the city council a long time ago, and what I learned is that our field has approximately another 100 years worth of production. There is a lot of oil in that ground that's going to be coming up. The most important thing we can do is to continue to maintain our relationship with these oil production companies, because it allows us to develop economically by working around their businesses so that we can develop businesses that produce income and they can maintain their income flow through the operation of their business. We've had a lot of successful development partnerships with the oil industry. We should keep that up. The city does not have to worry about fracking. We don't do fracking in our city. Our staff assures that we have a safe operation of the wells and the pipelines that run through the city, and has made arrangements for cleanups in case there's any breaks. It's a wonderful partnership we have with them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carol. I think we're going to switch out our timer here. Give us just a second. Our next questions are going to be from the audience, and we'll give those to you in just a second. Oh. Okay, great. Our next question is from the audience, and the question is, what specifically would you do differently from the two incumbents? Any specifics? If nothing new, why change? So again, what specifically would you do differently from the two incumbents? Any specifics? If nothing new, then why change? And we're going to start with Larry Blunden. Keep it clean, Larry.
Wow, no pressure here at all.
Saved by the bell.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
All right, let's let everybody settle down so Larry has a chance to respond. Whenever you're ready.
Well, the two, Ed and Lori, have done great jobs here, in all honesty. It's a tough race with them on board, to be honest with you. I think I would like to bring a different vision, just some fresh faces to the city. We need just a different way of thinking. There's a point where you can become complacent with your job. You know, you should be up on city council just paying attention all the time. We shouldn't be texting to people or playing other games on our cell phones and stuff. We should be just focused on what goes on with the city. What would I do different with 30 seconds? Well, I think one of the things I want to promote is like a town center for the community to go to. I don't really see that much going on with that. It's been discussed previously, but to really have a vision to move forward with that, with the trails and the city town center for a community place to meet. The time's out there.
Thank you very much, Larry. Carol, the same question. Carol Churchill.
I got the mic right. I'm a slow learner. First, I think we need to see more energy, enthusiasm on the council, less complacency. I would respect everyone's opinion, whether or not I agreed with it. I would treat everyone with dignity. I will always be honest with you. The couple of things that I would like to do, I would like to see a financial audit of the Human $700,000 loan to determine what amount has been repaid. I would like to look at the disposition and development agreement with Office Depot to see if the 70-30 tax split is returning at least as much revenue as the 50-50 sales tax split agreement. And if not, I would request that we renegotiate with Office Depot. I would like to join the committee that meets with the homeowners association that live up on the hill that are having problems with trespassers, and I'd like to try and resolve their security issues.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Keir Jones.
Thank you. I think that's why we're all running, right? Is that I want to see more excitement. I want to get more involvement from people my age, and I feel like we need to do a lot more as far as communicating what we're doing as a city. And I see that as where a lot of us are running now, because we want to see things move more quickly. We want to see more inclusion. We want to see more engagement by more of the community. And so I feel like that's where the folks that are running against the incumbents really have the edge. And for me, I feel like I'm the next generation that wants to help lead the city there and bring the folks in my generation along and create the special place that we all will be proud of.
Thank you, Keir. And next to Jason, I'm going to repeat the question. What specifically would you do differently from the two incumbents? Any specifics? Nothing new, then why change?
First off, I'd have a little different policy on cannabis. I'm definitely pro-cannabis. I think we can create hundreds of jobs in Signal Hill. And, you know, there's a lot of vacant property here in Signal Hill that could be rented out. When I was doing the medical cannabis campaign earlier in 2016, seriously, I had a factory that creates medical cannabis edibles that would have brought hundreds of jobs to town potentially. And that's just one organization. Imagine if there's a cultivation facility, a retail, there's so many different things you can do with it, and the state's already legalized it now, so there's not a need for a moratorium anymore. So I'm definitely not in favor of that, and I don't even think marijuana is a drug. I think it's just the same thing as alcohol or tobacco, and I don't see what the problem with it is. And if something can create hundreds of jobs in this town, I don't see why we already haven't done it, other than, you know, the old school reefer madness, marijuana stuff, and I'm not for that.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're asking the right person, but Ed, what would you do different from the two incumbents?
Okay, I am the incumbent. You know, it's interesting. I feel great about the city. I'm energized. I try to attend as many events and participate, and it's a lot of work. But I love doing it because I like to be engaged with a lot of different people, and so it stretches you. A lot of people don't understand the time commitment is a command that you have. It is not simply just sitting up at this dais at the council meeting. The council meetings, though, are the community's time, and it's always been my approach to make sure that anytime someone's here in the Chamber Council addressing the council, that we give them the proper amount of time to address it. It is their time. And so I've always done that. I don't agree with everybody, but that no one agrees with everyone. So I think it's important that we continue to move in the direction we're going, and I'm energized, and I will say thank you.
Thank you. You guys have been terrific today, by the way. Ed Wilson, next up is Tom Benson.
You're done.
And that was my position. Well, I would like to address one thing that we have incumbents running. We also have a retirement of Councilmember Michael Knoll. Some of the things that I think I would bring to the city are business development, community development. The largest piece of property we have is just under 2 acres. How are we going to coordinate that with the other areas we have of land development? What are we going to do intelligently? The other thing is we have a safe and affordable water system in this city. We need to keep it that way. We need to be acting on that. We've had great leadership from Councilmember Forrester over the last decades. He's discussing retiring in 2 years. I want to pick up that knowledge, and I want to represent the city vengefully to make sure we have a safe, affordable water system. The other thing with community development, with state regulations and mandates that the city faces, I think I can contribute to that. Thank you, and smile.
Thank you very much, Tom. Next, Lori Woods, please.
Okay. Well, Tom mentioned it again that Mike is not running in this term, and I've already, again, it was a risk to bring on somebody new. When I ran in 2013, there were 7 candidates. So the community had an opportunity at that time to replace the majority of the council with three incumbents running, and they chose not to. But I ran on the idea that it would be prudent to get someone on the council that could learn from our very seasoned and very knowledgeable council members before they did decide to not run again. And so I think that's been a proven idea. I have learned a lot from them. I've been a student of theirs in a lot of ways, and bringing my own bent and my own ideas to the council. I've also come to find out that the Signal Hill voter is very savvy. The Signal Hill voter is very educated, and if they don't know something, they educate themselves. And so it's the direction of the voter that really determines the stability of the city, the stability of the council, that we keep moving forward. Too much change too quickly, as the voters have already expressed, I think, in past elections, would slow progress down, and it's up to the voter.
Thank you, Lori. And next, Maria Harris, what specifically would you do different from the 2 incumbents?
Well, I have for quite a long time been asking the council and the city manager to increase the transparency and find methods to increase citizen participation at the council meetings themselves. However, my request has not been listened to very carefully, because what the result is that the opportunities for public comment at the city council meetings have actually been shortened. There was a public comment section at the very end of the council meetings where the public could then comment on whatever the council had discussed and decided throughout the council meeting. That's been eliminated. Furthermore, now the council discussion themselves have been so highly structured that they themselves are limited on what they can and can't, are limited to what they can respond to in the actual city council meeting. I'd like to have those limitations released so they can have good open discussion, so the public can then have the freedom to discuss items as they come up in a more open environment and be able to have the last word. Right now, the council has the last word, and sometimes it doesn't feel real good. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Next, to Robert Copeland.
Thanks. So I think different than the incumbents, essentially, I mean, it's similar to what all of us first-time candidates are doing, with different experience in education gives you, diversity of thought, and you become valuable if, expressing your opinion and you can understand people differently. That's not a knock on any candidates, just that sometimes that's good to have change. I think that I can inject a little vim into the council, and what I'd really like to do in particular, since I do have 2 young kids, I would like to try to bring younger people with kids into the community of the city. Like the recreation needs assessment the other night, there wasn't anyone younger than 30, and there was only a handful of people between 30 and 59, I believe. I think since I'm in that station in life right now, I think that I'll be able to connect with those individuals and maybe bring them into the city to be more active participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And we have one more question from the audience. And again, we're going in random order, and we're going to start with Lori Woods. And the question is, as a property owner, I am concerned about the stagnant property value in Signal Hill. If elected, what would you do to help with increased property value? We're starting with Lori Woods.
Okay, well, this is a good question because I'm a real estate agent, a real estate professional for about 15 years. And my trend, while I've chosen not to focus while I'm on council to have any clients within the city limits, so there's no conflict of interest, I do all of my real estate business outside of city limits, and that's intentional. So my experience with, evaluating property and running comps and things like that is that the Signal Hill was the last community in this area for their property values to lower. And after the 2008 economy crash, and it was the first community in this whole region to bounce back quickly. So there is value here in Signal Hill. I don't think that there's a lot that we can do, but we are dependent on the entire region as far as economic trends, as far as real estate trends. So to stand out, our property values are already greater and never went as low as other communities around us and bounced back faster than any other community around us.
Thank you, Lori. And again, next is Ed Wilson. I'm going to repeat the question. As a property owner, I am concerned about the stagnant property value in Signal Hill. If elected, what would you do to help with increased property value?
Well, I will say, to begin with, our property values, one of the things when I first got elected on was that I said that I want to put $1 million homes on top of this hill. We did that, and that was a big feat, and it did raise the property values throughout the city. So I've always been focused on that. It is a part of what we wanted to do. We wanted to raise everyone's property value, and so we've done that. Now, how do we maintain that? We engage the business community. We brand our city. In fact, Signal Hill is currently seen as one of the most desirable cities to live in, to work in. And no offense to anyone else that's up here, but the fact is that is a fact, and that people want to live here, they want to work here, and they want to play here. And I think I coined that term years ago. I do believe that we keep that in mind in all the things we do when we work on our budget with the city, and then when we work with the business community as well.
Thank you very much, Ed. Next, Keir Jones, same question, stagnant property value in Signal Hill.
Thank you. So I would disagree. I think people come to Signal Hill and they're not even sure that they're in somewhere different than Long Beach. And I think we need to make sure they know that they've entered our city. And this is really one of the main reasons I'm running for city council, is that we can really connect the city and we can finish areas that are uncompleted, and we can make those spaces great spaces to include public space, commercial space, residential space, to raise property values, increase property tax, increase sales tax, increase revenue to the city, but above all, complete the city and unify it together from north to south and make it a special place that everyone recognizes as they enter.
Thank you, Keir. And next, Robert Copeland.
I think that we can increase, well, I mean, we're suffering from a general national or larger than Signal Hill issue, but I think that we can increase property values to the extent we can control that through strategic development by working with property owners and potential retailers to bring in businesses into the city to where people want to move to Signal Hill. Another idea is that we might think about maybe showcasing the city to groups of realtors or to realtor groups, or perhaps corporate relocation groups. That'll get more and more people interested in the city and really showcase the incredible location of Signal Hill between Orange County and Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And next, Larry Blunden. What would you do to address stagnant property value in Signal Hill?
Well, I've been here since 1984, and initially property values went up pretty well, and eventually I bought up on top of the hill one of the $1 million homes up there. They're beautiful, but nothing has really happened with them since 2002. They've gone up very, very little. I agree. I think part of it is because there's no place for the people that live here to shop and go to in Signal Hill. They all take their money and they go outside Signal Hill. So the draw to move into this community is actually very limited, because why move here? When you go to Belmont Shore, you can just walk down the street and do what you need to do. I just think we need to develop a town center. I think we need to add value in our shopping experiences here in the city, something to make people want to be here. Besides the beautiful homes and the beautiful view, they need something more to want to be here.
Thank you, Larry. And next, Tom Benson.
Thank you. This is one of those areas where I would probably have a little vigorous debate. I don't know what stagnant means, and I don't agree with it. But what are the things we can do to make the community even better? Several things. First of all, what is our public safety? What are we doing? Lori mentioned we're doing CERT training. We're doing mapping your neighborhoods. We're making more of a community through neighbors knowing each other. The quality of life. We've got walking paths. Carol has offered several ideas on bringing people to the hill. Well, actually, we need to manipulate and develop the people that come to the Hill. I walk at 5:30 in the morning, and there's people all over the Hill. At 5:30 at night, there's people all over the Hill. The other thing that really does affect property values, and you mentioned the youth factor, younger people coming in, is the school ratings. If you go onto Zillow or you go into Trueo, we're rated at a 3 or a 4 instead of a 5 for the school ratings. We need to get that up because parents aren't going to move here.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat the question for Maria Harris. As a property owner, I am concerned about the stagnant property value in Signal Hill. If elected, what would you do to help with increased property value?
Well, as a homeowner of property value here in Signal Hill, I've noticed that the property values have increased, but at a very slow rate in comparison to other communities. And I think a part of the reason is that is because our neighborhoods, the ones that are on the borders, close to PCH on the southeast side, close to the boundary with Long Beach on the west side, the housing stock there and the quality, the livability of the neighborhoods look like they're slowly deteriorating, particularly as close to PCH. Take a look at the housing stock there. You'll see broken windows. You'll see heavy doors that are the heavy doors that have holes in them. You'll see duct tape on windows. You'll see bottles out on the front yard. Your trash and the trash on the curbs. It's not a beautiful sight. It's not appealing. And I know that we try. I know that EDCO's good, but it's not EDCO's issue alone. There's something going on in our neighborhoods on the borders that need more city attention.
Thank you, Maria. Next, Carol Churchill.
I'll just piggyback onto what Maria said. For the last 6 months, I've been sending photos of trash dumping on the street to the city staff. And it took 6 months to get a public service announcement out to the community that they could call in EDCO and get their trash picked up for free. We need to reduce criminal activity in the neighborhoods. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not criticizing the police. They're doing the job that they're intended to do. The city council has funded the police department adequately. But I want to show you a graph that I created from the audited financial reports. The yellow line is the population increase in Signal Hill. It's gone up 20%. The blue line is the number of police staff that we have. It has remained entirely consistent during that period of time. The green line is the calls for police service. There's a huge increase in the number of calls for service in the last couple years without an attendant increase in public. The perception from the community is that they don't have adequate police visibility to prevent this type of criminal invasion, such as thefts and stuff like that.
Thank you, Carol. And finally, Jason Aula, what would you do to address stagnant property values in Signal Hill?
Well, I generally agree with everyone's statements, but my strategy is a little different. There's Measure F coming up here in Signal Hill, and I think that could be a great way to increase people's property value because that's a 10% tax on medical cannabis, and that tax is broken down as follows. 2.5% of that tax goes to the Signal Hill Police Department directly. Another 2.5% goes to the Long Beach Unified School District for use in Signal Hill schools only. And when you're sending more revenue to law enforcement and schools, that's obviously going to increase people's property value. And I don't own property. I have a little bit of a real estate background, but I don't own any property. I already know that. The second big thing I think we can do to kind of separate ourselves as a city from Long Beach is to bring fiber optic internet to town, because that's really the big thing to usher in some of the new technological applications and use of various modes of technology, and I'm in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And that wraps up that portion of the questions. We have time for one more question. You guys have been so concise and to the point. And so I'm going to do this randomly again and try not to gang up on each other. The question is, each candidate will be asked to ask a question to one other candidate. You have 1 minute. And so we're going to start with Keir Jones. Keir, do you have a question for one other candidate?
I guess I'll start with you, Tom. We talked about schools a little bit. In your role in City Council, how would you improve our school ratings?
Thank you. Because we're part of Long Beach Unified. Or you take students that are developing and you work with them. The performance of the schools is actually improving, but when you look at Zillow, that rating is very much down. You can use public efforts, you can use private organizations, you can use service organizations also, and you actually strengthen the students.
Thank you. And then next question.
But it is
goes-
community-based.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Larry Blunden. You have a question for any of the other candidates?
West Nile virus.
I've got lots of questions, but one question I kind of have for Carol is, I know you were like the Measure U a while back, the no one vote thing. What kind of things are you still going to bring into the city if you get elected from that experience?
The object of the taxpayers' right to know, KNOW, and vote was to make sure that before there were any increases in taxes that were intended to be put on your tax bill, or the city borrowed money and they gave that money to a private developer, that you, the person who would be paying it back, would have a right to have full disclosure on your ballot, and you would have a right to decide whether you wanted to spend your money for that particular major investment. I would bring my community organizing skills, because I was able to get 1,000 people to sign the ballot and put it on the measure, and it's the first time the city had a charter amendment. So I think I know how to organize people. I've worked with Tom very successfully on the backpack project, and he's right. That's where we need to direct our attention, is these nonprofit organizations that can work within the school district.
Thank you, Carol. And Ed Wilson, do you have a question for any other candidates?
No.
Is that your final answer? Thank you, Ed. Carol, do you have any questions for any other candidates?
Yeah, Jason, dude. Yeah, I want to talk about the rate of the marijuana tax. You and I discussed this before, and you said you picked the 10% rate. I questioned if you took a look at the Long Beach analysis of the taxes to determine whether the city was going to recover its expenses based upon that tax rate. I'd like to know how you calculated it and how it's going to cover the city's expenses for regulating it.
Well, covering the expenses for regulating, I don't know what you mean exactly by that, but the tax rate, a lot of, there's many municipalities in California that have that rate. Some municipalities have it at 15, 20%. I thought 10% was a fair amount. And from past experience in Long Beach, when, I was lobbying for medical cannabis there, when we tried to come at them with a 5% tax rate, I had Patrick O'Donnell telling me, like, get out of here with that. You have to have at least 10. So that's where I got that number 10 from that suggestion.
So we can blame Patrick, can't we? Okay.
Well, no, it's me. It's me. It was his suggestion, and I liked it.
Just teasing you.
No.
Thank you. And Tom, Benson, do you have questions for any of the other candidates?
Keir, back at you. I have a question from the standpoint of when you talk about community involvement and things. When I've talked about planning commission and things, I think everybody here benefits by actual involvement in the community. Tell us what specific involvement in the community you've contributed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You bet.
So I've been involved in a lot of boards. I've been involved with the Legal Aid Foundation Board of Los Angeles. They do a lot of work, particularly with Miller's Children's Hospital and keeping families together. I've been involved with the Signal Hill Foundation this year, and in fact, we just donated computers for the after-school program. So when you were talking about the backpacks, a lot of our nonprofits in Long Beach give back to help our kids so that they are able to do their homework and advance themselves. So we're able to give 4 Surface Pros to that program. Is that answering your question? Yeah, so I've been involved in a lot of the nonprofit groups and in an executive position and getting people involved in raising money and funds so that we can give back to the community.
Thank you very much. Next, Robert Copeland. Do you have any questions for any of the other candidates?
Yeah, this question is for all the candidates, actually. I've gotten some feedback on all the signs all over the community, and so I've committed to take my signs down. I think I said that evening. Maybe we should say within 24 hours of the election. So I'd like to ask if all of, I guess we don't have to answer it right now, but I'd really like to see everyone take down our signs within 24 hours of the election.
I think we should all do it together. I mean, let's get out
That
there
would
and
be
pull them
fine,
all
too.
down together. It can be our first joint effort.
Robert, I can answer that. I had the same feeling after the election in 2013, that all the signs come down. So we legally have, I think, 10 days to take all the signs down, but they were down much earlier than that. And as my husband and I were going around taking down our signs, we took on when we were at the corner, we took down every sign. We bundled them up individually, and we brought them all to City Hall. So, and other candidates did the same thing. So we did it mutually together, and I think we all have this interest and love in accomplishing that goal.
What does this mean, all of us put up signs?
Well, you'll get them up. You'll put 'em up soon.
Thank you. And Lori, you're the next up. Do you have a question for any of the other candidates?
Yeah, I do have a question for Robert. Robert, you've been our city clerk for nearly 3 years now. We were appointed, and then you ran an election and won that. And while our city clerk and the city treasurer are at every council meeting, they're rarely asked their opinion. They don't have a say. They're doing their job back here. But they've been observing. So, Robert, what's the main thing you've learned about the city and about city business and observing all these council meetings for the last nearly 3 years?
You know, the main thing I've learned that's, I mean, I guess kind of a frustration is that you really have to be at the council meetings or watch the council meetings to get all this information on that's going on with the city. You know, and you can search the website, and some people like Maria does a great job searching a website and digging up stuff, and you can do that, but it takes a lot of time. For people who don't want to spend that much time researching something on the website, it's much more difficult. So, I mean, I think one way that we can improve that sort of thing is to have some sort of, you know, milestone checklist on projects and clear communication on the website, kind of showing the status of projects for people who just want to click real quick and see something. They don't want to sit through the whole council meeting. So that's what I learned. Thank you.
On to that. Because, you know, when I got on council, and in fact, we pushed to have our council meetings televised. Way back when, it wasn't televised. And then, you know, we started using technology, and we wanted it to be live streamed and recorded and saved on the internet so that at any point, anyone can go to that the website and see the council meeting. But more importantly, they don't have to watch the whole council meeting. They can go to a specific agenda item and just watch that. And that does give people a status update on what's going on in the city for those things that they're interested in. And I think that the council has been very, very responsive to that. They've also moved to, you know, I pushed us to move to social media because that's where the millenniums are. And so we, you know, trying to make sure that we're incorporating all of our community with everything that's available, I think is important.
Comment to add to
Thank
that,
you very
too, if
much.
don't mind.
And next, Jason Aula, do you have a question for any of the other candidates?
Can I add one comment to the?
We're
Last thing?
over time,
Okay.
Lori. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. It's for Councilmember Woods and Councilmember Wilson. There was an incident I read about in the summer of 2015 that was covered by the Press Telegram, and this incident was here in City Council, and it was very important to me because it was an incident of was an issue of free speech, in my opinion, and it had to do with Councilmember Forrester. And I think both of you had said something along the lines that Mr. Forrester's, he had some type of outburst in a public place, but when I had gone back and read all these articles, it just sounded like he had a political opinion. And I remember reading these remarks that said, you know, his opinion was going to give Signal Hill a bad reputation. And as a proponent, I got my start in politics at Cal State Long Beach as a Reagan scholar. I think the First Amendment is really, really important. I think all, the Bill of Rights are important, first 10 amendments. And I just wanted, I think Larry Forster had free speech rights and they're violated, and that's my question. What were your opinions on that?
First, okay. Well, of course, I don't see it as a free speech issue, and maybe you weren't apprised of all the details of that incident, and there's council's response to it. So while, yes, of course, we are all advocates of free speech, but when it comes to the duties and the responsibilities of an elected official, there is a higher standard. And that's what we were addressing at that time. And I'm sure we can give you more details about the whole incident. But it was not necessarily a free speech issue. It was an issue on conduct becoming an elected official.
Thank you.
Yes, me too. So I do not believe it was a free speech issue, and everyone is always entitled to say what they want to say. And I've in the council meeting in any place, I have been an advocate of letting and not trying to cut people off of speech. However, the issue that we addressed was one that was considered by the council, I believe, as an abuse of power, abuse of authority, and that's totally different than being able to say anything you want to say. And when we are dealing with and talking with our constituents, it is important that we give them the same respect that we want. And I just say that just in general in life. We are responsible for being respectful to everybody.
Thank you. And finally, Maria Harris, do you have a question you'd like to ask one of the other candidates?
Well, yes, I do have a question. This is addressed to the city clerk and the city treasurer. You two guys are up there on the dais, at every city council meeting. And in the past, city clerks and city treasurers defined their role at the city council meeting and defined their role as elected officials to be more expansive than you guys apparently are interpreting it. So why are you so quiet at the city council meetings when you have the authority, by virtue of the charter, to define your role and use it to make your opinion known and represent those who voted for you?
And if that's going to two people, I'm going to have to give you 30 seconds each if you're okay with that, unless one person would like to respond.
Well, a lot of our work is done behind the scenes, and we don't really have any voting power, so we discuss some of the things that go on between us, what's going on, but a lot of times our opinions don't really play into the council or to the audience. There are times I've gotten up there to the audience, I've left my chair here, and I've spoken for different issues that I personally believe in.
Thank you. You have something to add, Robert?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that we were elected to represent the people on the council. We were elected to do the jobs of the city clerk and the city treasurer. So I think I just think it's a little bit different. So that's why. Thank you for the question, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That closes that segment of the forum. And we're going to our final segment. I want to thank you, candidates. Our final segment is closing statements. You have 1 minute for a closing statement. I'm going to start with Ed Wilson. 1 minute for a closing statement, Ed.
Okay. As a father, I've thoroughly enjoyed living and raising my daughter in Signal Hill for 25 years. Since 1997, I have worked hard to be an advocate and an independent voice for the citizens in Signal Hill, especially kids, and to improve the quality of life for everyone who lives and works in the city. Sometimes people say, you're like E.F. Hutton. When you talk, people listen. I have the experience, the knowledge, and the vision, the energy, and the wherewithal to help continue to lead this city. I am endorsed by Alan Lowenthal, Senator Ricardo Lara, Assemblymember Mike Gibson, Supervisor Janice Hahn, Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia, Signal Hill Councilwoman Tina Hansen, Long Beach City Attorney Charlie Parkins, Long Beach Councilmember Al Austin, Long Beach Councilwoman Susie Prague, all 5 of the Long Beach City College trustees, and the Los Angeles County Democratic Party, to name, and then a number of residents in Signal Hill. It is important. Your voice, your choice is very important this election.
Thank you. And next, Lori Wood, your closing statement.
Thank you, Bart. Well, as a closing statement, I didn't prepare a 60-minute closing statement, but I look forward to continue serving the community. I think I've, as my family can attest, really applied myself to learning all I can and applying that knowledge and moving forward with all aspects of city business, introducing new ideas, introducing a new what am I trying to say? A new responsibility to the city, a new face to the city. I think the council has changed just with a different personality on the board. I've earned the respect of my council members, I believe, and have been a vital aspect. One thing that we do on the council is once a decision is made, whether we're opposed, we don't always agree, and but once it is done, it's to our council's credit that we back it 100% to move forward and not delay or for the most part, not bicker and squabble about things that didn't go our way. So I think that's one of our strong suits and one that I will continue on another term on the council.
Thank you. And Larry Blunden, you have 60 seconds. Did I say minutes? Seconds.
60 seconds. The bell didn't ring. Good. You know, I've got the involvement with the city. I'm in so many volunteer things. I'm a very big participant of everything that goes on in the city. I'm at all the openings. I've actually got a budget for the treasurer, which we've never had, in order to participate in different events that go on for the League of Cities or different things to learn things about how things work with all cities in California. So, real quick, I've got a little thing that says, as president of the Signal Hills Historic Society, I understand the city's past. Being involved as your elected city treasurer, I'm fully aware of everything that goes on in the present. I know the budgets, I know what's going on. So I ask for your vote so I continue to work towards our city's future. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Larry. And next, Tom Benson, your closing statement.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for being here tonight. Honestly, in 30 years that I've lived here, this is the biggest crowd I've ever seen at one of the at one of the forums. So thank you to everybody who showed up. I'm not a candidate. I'm not a politician. I'll blow that one. But I'm not going to go for platitudes or misrepresent things by making outlandish statements. We've heard a couple things. You've got everybody up here who cares about this city. We may not agree on how we care about the city. Some of the things that make me different, when we talk about, we heard the word new. New does not mean better. Qualified means better, but new does not mean better. And Lori mentioned that the voters of this city are very intelligent, and yes, they are. I have to agree with that. From a standpoint of qualifications, I'll have lots to learn, but I've gone to landfills, I've gone to reservoirs, I've gone to the sanitation district, I've gone to the Metropolitan Water District, I've gone to the American Planners Associations for training. I did this on my own mostly, and that was it. And I asked for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Robert Copeland, next, your closing statement.
Thank you. There are a lot of people to choose from to represent you on the city council for this election. I believe I've demonstrated my passion for the city through my services as a chairperson of the Sustainable City Committee and as serving as a city clerk. Additionally, my 5 years of service as a public member alternate on the South Coast Air Quality Management District Hearing Board shows my devotion to a broader public purpose and my comfort in open and honest deliberations up here at the dais. Having 2 children, I am particularly interested in public health and safety, schools, and parks and recreation. Being a husband, I have a heightened awareness of the importance of good local shopping. And being a neighbor, I have a great regard for community. So if you're passionate about the city of Signal Hill, I'd like you to do 2 things. First, vote either by mail or at the polls on March 7th. And second, include me among your choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Next, Carol Churchill, your closing statement.
Slow learner. I would like to thank, I would like for you to know that you can count on me to represent you with honesty, hard work, and respect. I will include the perspective of all residents in setting policy because that is what allows all of us to feel as valued members of this community. I have the training and experience having served on the city council before. I will not make this job a career, it is a public service. I have been a Signal Hill community participant for 30 years. I have walked door to door on every single street in this city multiple times with petitions to save the park and the basketball courts. I oppose the shifting of cost of municipal services onto your property tax bills by the way of new fees and assessments. It is also very important to move into the 21st century by incorporating new economic principles espoused by other cities who have realized that it is important to broaden their revenue base. Our demographic changes are obvious, and that's why we need new ideas. To accomplish this goal, your city needs strong leadership, creative ideas, and hard work. I demonstrate that I possess these qualities through my many years of community service.
Thank you, Carol. Next, Jason Aula, do you have a closing statement?
Yes. I ask that you join me in reimagining Signal Hill. I know some of my policies or ideas may be a little different, but I think different may be good. I'm not saying what's going on right now is bad. I think it's great here in town, but I think it just can be done a little bit better. I ask that you judge me on my stand on the issues, which, I'm distributing at the door. It's not a huge flashy mailer. It's a Word document with my stand on various municipal issues. I'm not endorsed by many people, but I don't think this should be a popularity contest. I think each voter is extremely important. And if you look at this past election cycle, most voters in this country are frustrated with the political system. And if you want something a little different, something a little straight up when it comes to how I'm going to regulate stuff, when I say that, let's say anything I've said here I can't get done through the council. I'll go around the council by ballot measure. That's one of my strategies. And any person who wants something new done in town, just come to me, and I'm here. Email me, call me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next, Keir Jones, your closing statement.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk and answer questions tonight. My strength on City Council will be continuing to bring people together to talk. We need to continue to build strong lines of communication while being comfortable with being bold, innovative, and moving quickly to take advantage of the opportunities ahead. Frankly, we don't have time to wait. We can't wait to be the city that came too late to sustainability. We can't be too late in creating spaces to live and work. We can't wait to be the city that was too dependent on one business sector or another. This city was created by bold leaders, leaders who saw an amazing opportunity on the Hill and seized it, creating the special place we all call home today. Elect Keir Jones to City Council on March 7th and bring new leadership to make sure that we are leading the way as a city in Southern California, leading the way to create the city of the future where people want to come live, shop, eat, and play. Let's make City Hill the destination we all want it to be. Learn more about my campaign at jones4sh.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Keir. And finally, Maria Harris, your closing statement.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. It's been truly a learning experience for me, and I hope that you learned a lot about us as well, at least to help you make your decision. Now, the reason why I want to be in the City Council, one of the reasons why I want to be in the City Council is because I think we need to recognize that the city is a public corporation. That's a legal entity in and of itself. It has interests of its own that it wants to move forward. A lot of times, those interests are not in the same stream as the interests of the community as a whole, or the community as residents, or even the business community. What I want to do is I want to balance out those corporate interests with a louder voice for us, so that those community interests, our community interests, get a louder voice and stronger representation from a person, and I hate to keep saying this, but from a person who understands how these things are put together and how they're implemented and how they're implemented and what we can do to change it and get our voice heard.
Thank you very much, Maria. This closes my segment of the forum. I want to thank you guys for your participation. You've all been terrific. I've been impressed with all of you. Can we have a hand for the candidates, please? To close this evening, I'd like to bring up our Chamber First Vice President, Octavio Duran, for a few comments.
Yeah. Before we go, can we have a hand for the moderator and timer?
In closing, we would like to thank you, the residents and businesses of Signal Hill, for being here tonight. We'd also like to thank the candidates once again for participating in tonight's forum. In addition, we'd like to thank Larry Forster and Gary Dundley for their guidance and support in how to produce this event. And we also want to thank the Signal Hill Tribune for helping to promote this event. Thank you to the City of Signal Hill for sponsoring this location and for streaming this event so that the community will be able to watch this video of this event on the city's website. We believe in that it has been valuable to learn more about the positions of each candidate this evening as it relates to the future of our great city of Signal Hill. Last but not least, thank you to our Chamber Board members, ambassadors, Chamber champions, and our valued members for making this event possible. Be sure to connect with the Signal Hill Chamber of Commerce and its members online through Twitter, Facebook, and at www.signalhillchamber.org. We hold events every second and fourth Thursday of the month. It was a pleasure to host this candidates forum this evening. Thank you and good night.